And then in the Google Drive, this is where all the class presentations are there. And I also put a spreadsheet with the video links, so you can go there and check out the video in case you want to just listen to stuff. And there are some PowerPoints that I have for every lesson. Now, usually I don't go through the entire PowerPoint, but what I'm now going to do is, after the PowerPoint, I'm going to come out with this handout, which is a much more compressed form of what we went through. And really, when you have to, for example, if you look at this handout, it has got a very concise kind of substance of what I cover in the class. And you can, this is the thing that you should read. This is basically your compressed reading material, in case you're out of time. So we went through the 3 laws of Mendel, and then there are all these different terms that we went through. Allele, dominant, gamete. So you understand, Shohatro, that yes?
Can we keep the vocabulary sheet?
You mean?
Oh, she was wondering whether we have returned the whole package back, the homework, the assignment that you gave.
Yeah.
That has all this vocabulary too in it as part of this.
Oh.
Oh, no, that's for your
Yeah, you
self-study.
can just keep it, you don't have to return.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to return anything, actually. In fact, we will.
You could do like a
Today we
self-correction.
will go over some of the homework that I gave. We'll make sure that, many of you have done it. I just want to make sure that we compare how we did it and how we arrived at the answer. Yeah. So the handout is what you should look at if you want to kind of study. Don't go to the slides. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can go to the slides if you have time, but you don't have to. And then, okay, so, and in the assignment section, I have right now given these problems. And how many of you have attempted to do these? Raise your hands. Okay,
I couldn't find it.
you couldn't find it? Should be there in the assignments. You were able to find it, right? Yeah, okay, perfect. So anyway, since most have not done it, why don't we do it and see how
Just
it
a
goes?
second, Aruna, I think with the slide on, you can come and check. I don't think so it's visible. Can we change a little bit of the lesson? I don't think so they can read this.
You can, that's okay. The assignment is there, so they can follow it.
I'm just
Okay.
saying.
Okay, Punnett squares. Does anybody remember what Punnett squares were? Yeah, okay, so what is it?
Pretty much like a graph where,
These are the 3 choices.
oh,
The answer is
Being exposed to a contagious disease and contracting it.
no way.
Having an inherited disease or genetically determined physical trait.
yes,
Both of the above.
no,
B.
B.
Is that your answer?
Mm-hmm.
Punnett squares were. Punnett squares were used by geneticists to determine the probability of different offspring genotypes. In the one shown below, what letters belong to the lower right box?
C. Oh.
C.
Okay. If two people are both carriers for a genetically inherited fatal recessive disease, decide to become parents, what will be the odds that their children will also be carriers? A? Are you sure? So it says fatal recessive disease. What does that mean? Can anybody
So,
explain what a fatal recessive disease is?
Oh, that would be like, if it's lowercase.
Okay, remember the uppercase and the lowercase, right?
Square.
Where are
So
the
then all will be,
pens?
it's D.
It's D, it's D, it will be D, 4.
It'll be D.
Unanimous.
4 out of 4?
No,
Unanimous
It's
choice.
recessive, it's recessive. It is
You can't
recessive.
carry two. I think it's C. It's usually 3 out of
No, it's,
So
it's,
how many
it's A.
think it's A? How many think it's A? Okay. How many think it's B? No one, okay. C? Okay, 2. And D? Okay, so we have a split jury here.
it is A.
I think-
Where did you get the pens from?
No, there was a problem with the pens in the email.
But both are recessive. Okay, see. No, they have one of them and then R.
It's recessive, so that means that neither of them have it. Neither of them have the fatal.
Yeah. I know, but this see, this is the genotype is they have the recessive and then the dominant.
These are
Okay,
highlighted?
so it'll be R.
Then it will be 1 out of 4. It's gonna be 1 out of 4.
Okay, I see.
And then that'll be.
Okay, so
Why did this become a debate?
so let's say that whatever is that trait,
It's a 1 out of 4.
X and what?
Y? Oh, sorry.
Lower X,
lowercase
right? That's always the notation we follow.
There's the.
Yes, so then both have
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Both
Don't
have
use
that.
those.
Okay, so there is X and X and
Both have that.
if you have an X and an X, what will happen? What is this combination called? What is X here? The small x is what?
It's 4
Recessive,
4.
right? And if both of them are
I just said both
recessive,
are carriers.
Both
then
are
what will
carriers
happen?
of both recessive?
Yeah.
Both are.
In this problem, what's going to happen? If two people are both carriers of a genetically inherited disease, so that means what? The two people have to be an X and an X, right? And then, because we know that if it is X and X, this is fatal. The person is not alive at this point. So two people are like this, and what happens? What are the odds that their children will also be carriers? What are the odds? So you know from the Punnett square,
2 out of
you have XX,
2 out of
X,
4. The recessive.
XX and XX, so there are 2 of these, and then there is
Double capital X.
one XX, right? And will this person live?
No.
Right? So what are the odds?
It's a
Oh,
dead
so
face.
there
It's a
are
dead
many.
face.
It's a dead face? Oh,
Yes,
oh, I didn't
smile.
realize that.
15.
Eyes are X'd out.
So what are the odds now?
2 out of 4.
2 out of 4, okay, which is 1 out of 2. So B is the answer. Did you get that?
No, I thought it meant which one will die. That's it.
Well, these are the
Also
carriers,
fatal
right?
recessive.
This person is not a carrier because he got the non-recessive, the dominant one, which is the good one, which is not going to cause you to die. That there's one chance that he got, and then there are these others who became
Yeah,
carriers.
carriers.
So the chances of being a carrier versus not a carrier is 2 to 4 or 1 to 2, whatever. Okay? Make sense?
Yeah.
So whenever you get a question, just go back to the basics and think. Okay? Okay, so then we come to a woman is homozygous normal and her husband is heterozygous for a genetically inherited recessive disease and they decide to become partners. What is the probability that they have a healthy child? 1 out of 4, 2 out of 4, 3 out of 4, and 4 out of 4.
So this lowercase x, and then x.
Yes?
Is homozygous normal mean it's both dominant traits?
Homozygous means both are of the same kind. It could be both dominant or both recessive. It's not mixed.
Okay. And so then in this case,
Okay, this is what I got.
would it be dominant?
Oh my god. So this is heterozygous.
So all the clues are here. It's a genetically inherited recessive disease. Recessive disease means what?
It's not really.
Right.
Neither.
So the only time a recessive disease can show up is when? When they are both recessive. Excellent. So this is, so what is, again, go back to your basics, right? What does it say? One of them is homozygous, and he or she is homozygous for the, woman is homozygous and it's normal, right? So pretend that X is the normal, right? So the woman is X and X, we know that. And her husband is heterozygous. It's
2 out of 4.
X and X, right? This is the wife and this is the husband. What are the different combinations possible?
Wait a moment. X, both capital and
Both capital
2 times.
and then
X and lowercase.
how many this and how many this?
2 and 2.
2 and 2, right? However, the resulting children who have this and the resulting children who have this, will any of them show the disease?
No.
Why?
Because
It's
it's
recessive.
dominant.
Recessive.
Recessive.
Because the thing that causes the disease is recessive. So how many children are going to be normal? All of them, exactly.
4 out of 4. See? Nice job.
Good job.
Recessive.
Did you get this right? Sharon,
Oh.
did you get this right? Oh, sorry.
Sharon. That's okay, you understand the names. Amy, right?
Amy,
Amy is your
did you
name.
do all
He's
the
asking.
problems? Did you get this right? Great.
Homozygous normal. Homozygous normal.
Silly.
Okay, if two parents are heterozygous for a genetically inherent dominant trait, what is the probability that they will have a child together who has this trait in his or her phenotype? Okay, this time I'm going to call somebody on the board and ask them to do it.
I'm just trying to.
Why don't you start, because we did it.
Wait, what's the question?
This is the question.
If 2 parents.
If two parents are heterozygous for a genetically inherited dominant trait, what is the probability that they will have a child together who has this trait in his or her phenotype? Phenotype, remember that. All these words are important. Homozygous, heterozygous, phenotype, and dominant. You
On my
have,
paper is about C.
and why don't you go over it and explain to us how you got C?
No, it's a trait, it's not a
No,
fatal
esto
disease.
público.
I used the square.
Yeah, you can use the Punnett square, you can do whatever you want, okay?
No, it's 1 out of 4.
No, how will they get the same trait? Same trait. Same
Basically, we all have the dominant gene, but then this one doesn't, so it's 75%.
Okay, perfect. Did everybody follow what she did? And where did she use in this Punnett square, where did she use this information that both parents are heterozygous? If one of the parents had been homozygous, how would this Punnett square look like?
One
Yes.
of the smaller, like one of the recessive X would become dominant.
Yes, so remember, Punnett square, one parent goes in this row, so one parent has whatever they have, so you just take one here, take the other one here, for the other parent, take this here, take the other one here, and then you just put them together. It's just a way of combining things. You get it? Okay, excellent. And then if two parents are homozygous for a genetically inherited recessive trait, what is the probability that they will have a child who does not have this trait in his or her phenotype? In his or her phenotype. And I'm going to ask you to come.
Why?
Why not? You don't want to? Sure, it'll be fun.
Jacob, come on.
Okay. You have done a science Olympiad. Why don't you give it a try?
Yeah.
Sure.
Muski.
How about you?
I'm gonna work it out.
Okay, Srijan, why don't we give it a try? So, in all your questions, you should note the use of these terms. What is recessive? Who is homozygous? And whether it's genotype or phenotype that they're asking. I was just kidding.
Can you make it a little bit?
Homozygous for a genetically inherited recessive trait.
That's how I write my X's, my lowercase x's when I'm doing algebra.
What is the probability that they will have a child who does not have this trait?
Srijan, can you make it more darker, please?
If two parents are homozygous for a genetically inherited recessive trait, this should be small.
করে বড় ছোট করতে হবে
ছোট করতে হবে, হ্যাঁ।
সেটাই ও ভেবেছে কিন্তু অন্য হ্যাঁ ও স্কোয়ারে করেছে কিন্তু মনে ভেবেছে সরি বাংলায় বলছি
Does everyone get this? Anybody doesn't get it?
0%.
Okay, so this is basically going over the same stuff, repeating it again to understand whether what is
What's
heterozygous
0%?
and what is homozygous. And will any of you have any difficulty in answering these questions? I mean, if you don't understand, that's fine, you can still So whenever the same letters appear, either both dominant or both recessive, that's homozygous. Homo means uniform, hetero means
Mixture.
not uniform. And if these two letters are different, it's heterozygous. It's as simple as that. Okay. For each of the genotype below, determine what phenotypes would be possible. Purple flowers are dominant to white flowers, brown eyes are dominant to blue eyes. So what is this? Purple or white? What? White? What is?
Are those lowercase or uppercase? Lowercase.
This is lowercase.
Oh. Wait, wait, the bottom one. Oh, wait, that's uppercase. Never mind.
That's uppercase? Oh, yeah, that's uppercase. You're right, right. Yeah, you're right. So this will be what? Purple. This will be brown. This will be purple. This will be blue. This will be. So you understand the concept of recessive and dominant, right? Okay. And you'll see in Science Olympiad, there are a bunch of questions which basically quiz you on these concepts, and just think what the question is asking and then attempt to answer it. So these questions should have come before the first set of questions, because this sort of are simpler. And will everybody be able to answer this question? Anybody who can't answer this question?
What's the question number?
Number 3. For each phenotype below, list the possible genotypes. Straight is dominant to curly, right? So if the phenotype is straight, how many genotypes can that have? 2. Okay. And how many, and for curly, how many genotypes can it have? One. Is this clear to everyone? I want to make sure that everybody understands this. Because if you don't understand this, you won't be able to do well in your Science Olympiad questions. Okay, so how about this? And the Punnett square, does everybody understand how to do the Punnett square? And will everybody be able to do these questions now? Okay. Then why don't we do some actual Science Olympiad questions? How about that? So in here, I have in the class presentation somewhere, I placed heredity D sample. Okay. This is straight from the Science Olympiad. Okay. Okay, now some real fun. Now you know all this stuff, right? So you should be able to do this. Okay, who wants to do this? Somebody else? No? Try. No harm in trying. Okay, so I have to.
So the first one?
The first one, yeah. That's
So since it's R, lowercase r, lowercase r, you're gonna have to make a Punnett square.
mhm.
So then, the smaller, like the,
So
what
what
was it,
is the genotype ratio of the cross of an
so
R
the white
R and
flower
a?
is gonna be, 25% chance.
Okay,
So 25% white flower,
okay,
and then 75%, red flower.
so are you,
Genotype.
again, read the question
Geno,
once again.
Geno.
What did it say? What is the genotype? Who knows what is the genotype?
Oh, it's the, I'm sorry, I read the question wrong, I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. So what did you find right now?
I just found the phenotype ratio.
Exactly. And so don't confuse these two. Phenotype is what shows up, genotype is what's there inside.
That's 50%,
Okay?
and then the R is 25%.
Okay?
And then the lowercase r is also 25%.
25%. Very good. And as a bonus, you actually also answered the second question earlier, so you're done. But generally, what I've seen is they, instead of writing it in this way, you actually write it as 1:2:1. You say RR versus RR versus RR equal to 1:2:1. It's the same thing. This is just the notation that's usually followed in the books and in the questions also, because they will have questions like that. Okay, now the third part. No, somebody else. No, somebody else. Brandon, you want to give it a try? Yes. No problem. Amy, you want to give it a try? Third question.
What does the incomplete dominance mean?
You tell.
Dominance that is not complete.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to cover that today, but incomplete dominance means it is not completely dominant. And
So how would you do it? Would that mean that it's either like, that it's recessive, or would it mean that?
okay. Maybe I'll go, because I was planning to cover that today. Okay, maybe,
It's like half of the time, 50-50. It's like 50-50. According to the, 50-50 because, yeah.
So
if the
it's
trait has
only
incomplete dominance means,
then it would be like 50-50
means
according to this.
this, right now, this and this are the same phenotype, right? And that is complete dominance. Complete dominance means that if you have a dominant and a recessive, the recessive just goes away. It's blown away. Incomplete dominance means the recessive is not completely blown away. There is some of it left. And so, this RR and this RR and this capital RR and a capital R and small r and the small r and small r will appear as three different phenotypes.
Is it 1 to 1 yet?
It will exactly be 1:1. That is exactly right. So in this case, the genotype ratio and the phenotype ratio will exactly be the same because of the incomplete dominance. But this was really not, you're not supposed to have known this because I didn't really cover it. And anyway, so it's good. You are able to answer a real Science Olympiad sample question. So I'm happy about that. And you think you can do this now? Okay, why don't we do just one more type? We'll skip things which are which have to do with incomplete dominance. So, who will volunteer? No, I want different people. I'm gonna try. There's nothing wrong. Brandon, you want to try?
Which one are we gonna do?
We are on this one. And you just have to answer the sixth one.
It's a dihybrid.
Why don't you give it a try, Brandon? You know the stuff. And in the worst case, what's going to happen? One of your friends is going to help you. So why don't you just give it a try?
Peer pressure.
You want to try?
It's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah, they're all scared too. All the sixth graders.
Okay. Okay. It's okay. That's okay. It's absolutely fine. You just go from first principles and try to do it.
What do we need on our notebooks? Then we'll show it to you.
You don't have to do it on the notebook. Just do it on the board. It's okay.
He'll help you. So
I'll
just
help
go
you.
try.
I'll help you. Okay. Why don't you try? I just want someone to try, and it's okay if you need help. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, absolutely. And we did it, remember? What is this called? Does anybody remember from the last class? We had something called monohybrid cross, which is what we did in the previous problem. What is this called?
You can still use the
You can definitely use the Punnett square for the dihybrid cross. This is called a dihybrid cross. And it's dihybrid because it's got two traits that are being dealt with. And what did Mendel's law say? These two traits, they happen independently, right? That's one of Mendel's laws. Okay, so it says, this is the heterozygous, these are the two parents, right? So what do you do in the Punnett square? In the the 2 by 2 Punnett square, what do? You take this, one of this, in the one row you place this, and in the other row you place this, right? But now you also have to deal with this and this. So how would you do it?
4 by 4.
Exactly. It would be a 4 by 4.
I thought that we were trying to get.
Okay. Well, suppose this was not there. Okay. Suppose the SS was missing. Why don't you draw the Punnett square for that? That would be easy, right? No. Suppose the SS was
Oh.
so suppose there was no SS. Suppose this is how it is. You can do it?
Go.
Let her first try. No. Why don't you try? Huh? That's fine. That's good. That's a good strategy.
Go.
Okay. This is how it is, right? Now, what do you have? You have an S and an SS and an SS. Now, how do you place that? Suppose there was a SS and SS, how would you have drawn it? Let's say there was no C's, how would you have drawn it? Good. And now how do you combine these two squares?
Just C as
Everybody get it?
yes.
Yeah. Wait, couldn't you just do it like that?
Go, go.
Brandon, why don't you go and help your friend?
Couldn't you just go like this?
She was doing it.
So yeah, you could just do it like that.
Both of you do it.
Amy was right, it was doing it correctly. She was doing it right. You
You were
just
doing it correctly.
you were doing it good. Why did you leave? We have to do it.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Remember, in each row, in each column or each row, in each row, how many would you have here? In a one dimensional, you have how many? One, right? In two dimensional, how many would you have? Two. So just combine this. So combine one of this and this. So it could be this and this, or this and this, or this and this, or this and this. Those are the four combinations. Write down the four combinations like this. Write down the four combinations like this. This is for one parent. This is for another
More
parent.
realistic.
And then you just do the Punnett square.
And then combine using all of these.
He's, you need to,
Okay.
yeah. Go
Why
slower.
don't you do it?
Go.
Okay.
So small.
Naomi,
Look at this, the small C and the small X.
Naomi, I have a camera.
I thought that was like an inside or something.
Naomi.
Those like
Hey Naomi.
You wanna make the small ones bigger?
N-A-O-M-I. N-A-O-M-I. Naomi.
Yippee. Yeah, yay. See. Yeah, but she's doing it. Oh, wait. No. I'm retrying. Oh. I have a much more. Yeah, me too.
Well, I told you, right? So that was just so that I was kind of explaining it. But normally when you are doing a problem, the capital stands for the dominant and the small stands for the recessive. And
What about the small c?
and the C is the
Naomi, what about the small c, the lower one?
the lower one.
Yeah.
Should have been an A, right? It's not an A. It is a small c. The small c actually means short. No, but the thing is, you can't have four.
Might be wrong.
Oh, okay. In the individual, you'll have four. Yes. Okay. Why don't I do this and then I will help you. Okay. So this is C and C. So okay, let me ask you this simple question. So suppose let's go back to our basic Punnett square. Okay. So you have C. Let's forget about the S's, right? CC and CC, right? One parent is CC and another parent is CC, right?
You might want to use another marker.
Thank you.
You have.
You'll be a good manager.
Definitely.
There is one C and
You'll
another
be a good
C.
manager then.
This C and
Good
C,
combination.
right? So one parent is like this, the other parent is like this. So what happens? Mendel's first law, segregation. Segregation means the possibilities are you will get either this or this, right? So that's what you write here. C and C, right? And then here you write C and C, and you form the Punnett square. Simple, right? Now you have one more coming in. So if you have C and C and S, and what does Mendel's third law tell? Mendel's third law says that they are independent,
Independent.
right? So what will happen is the C and C will come. Independently the S and S will come, right? So you have to place the S here. And then how many combinations will you have? Because you have a C, C, S, and then you have a C, S, and a C, S, right? Does this make sense?
That's what she did.
the first time.
Oh, well.
It's okay.
That's what she was doing. Yeah, that's exactly what she was doing.
Oh,
She was like, is it right? Like,
Peer
Okay.
pressure. It was peer
Okay.
pressure.
okay, then you were right, I got confused. Sorry. So the same thing here, right? CS, 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 and CS, right? And then you can write what the phenotypes are going to, genotypes will be, and you know what is dominant and what is recessive, and you can say what the phenotypes will be, right? So now you can solve this problem, right? No, we won't do this in class now, but I just want to make sure that this is called a dihybrid cross, and when you go home or like do this on your own, you'll be able to do this, right? Right?
I see.
Right?
So the way that I did it was wrong,
No, nothing is wrong. I mean, you are trying. So,
but it was like not like
yeah, I think Amy was doing it, and I somehow got confused. So, yeah, this is exactly it is. And now, if you see CS, this will be just like another. See, always remember when the two come together, it should resemble like one of the parents, because it's an individual, right? Make sense? Okay, and you can do all this, right?
Yep.
And remember, in Science Olympiad, you'll have 50 minutes. So you have to be pretty fast in doing each of these. Like, you have to do it in like
Should be one and
a minute or
How many?
1.5
25?
minutes, something like that.
25.
So you have to kind of
Something.
do this quickly, and that will need practice. And that's something that you have to spend some time to kind of do it either in a group or on your own. Yes.
what does albino mean?
Albino means somebody who has no color.
Okay.
Yeah. Essentially white. And always remember these terms. These are your heterozygous, dominant. These are your key words. You should always remember these and pay attention. Genotype, phenotype. Okay? All right. So, last class I talked about Mendel and his 3 laws, right? Today I'm going to talk about, and you got a hint of that in one of the questions, the earlier questions. I'm going to talk about the exceptions to Mendel, what Mendel did. And it turns out there are many more exceptions than the rules that Mendel came up with, which is one of the reasons why people didn't really notice this earlier. So Mendel happened to study these 7 characteristics in pea plants where what he said worked out perfectly. But in reality, do you actually see something like that? Like one short parent and one tall parent, and you have either only tall or only short? You rarely see that kind of stuff, right? And that is because of the fact that this perfect kind of laws that Mendel had have many exceptions, and there are many, many more exceptions, and that is really what I'm going to talk about today. How much time do I have?
I was checking, 6, 7.
So I don't have a lot of time, but at
You have
least
to
I'll
leave
go over
early?
the
Maybe like 7:15.
7:15.
7:15. So we'll go up to 7:15. Okay, so I got these slides, and I'm going to make a handout out of this later. So if you see, okay, so this is called incomplete dominance. So in incomplete dominance, what we found earlier was if you have a dominant and a recessive, you can turn off the lights. So in case of a dominant and recessive, if there was a combination of the two, then the dominant always wins, right? Only if both are recessive, then the recessive basically shows itself. However, if Mendel had tried, instead of pea plants, if he had tried snapdragons, he would have seen something different. So, in Mendel's case, there were only two things, and it could either be tall or it could be short, right? Now, right from this picture, you can see it's not two things, it's three things now. And some kind of blending is happening, right? And this is an example of incomplete dominance. So in incomplete dominance, what happens is, this is RR, this is white RR, same notation, you know that. And then you know what would happen, one of the combinations would be a R and a R. And if it was following Mendel's laws, what would this color be? Red, very good. Instead, it happens to be a pink, which all of you know, it's like. So what happened is, this guy couldn't completely dominate over the white. So some of the white showed up, and that's why it's called incomplete dominance. And it's not that it's like 50-50. Both of them are not getting 50-50. So this is still having the upper hand. There is more red than white. So that's why it's called incomplete dominance. And now if you see, the ratio becomes 1:2:1. 1:2:1. Punnett square, you can do that, whatever we did. And remember that Science Olympiad problem we did, where they said what happens if it was incomplete dominant? So here, the genotype and the phenotype ratio are exactly the same now. Because remember, in complete dominance, all these three would be the same phenotype, right? But now, this is one genotype, this is another genotype, and this is another genotype, and all of them have a different phenotype, okay? So this is incomplete dominance. And, okay, so this is again an example of, okay. So there is something which is very similar to incomplete dominance, and my understanding is that in case of codominance, both of them equally contribute. It's 50-50. Simpson, is this right?
Well, let's look at the example.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they are very similar, but it seems that in codominance, they are both present instead of blending, which is,
So it's going to be a red and white mix. Okay,
So-
we can't do it in that color here.
yeah. So this is an example of the coat color of the horse and or some. This is codominance.
Oh, so they get both brown and white as patches.
So
They
they're
don't.
distinct. I
Yeah,
guess.
they're distinct.
Yeah.
Both are present in distinct fashion.
Yeah, so but they are sort of similar, and in Science Olympiad they will not ask you to distinguish between incomplete dominance and codominance.
I think if it's an incomplete dominance, you see pink. If the color of the red and white is co-dominant, you will see white and the
Red
and,
patches.
and the red both present.
It's,
Both
you have to
present?
have both
Yeah.
patches.
I see. So it'll look like that. Okay.
So what you said is it's going to blend in complete, and in complete there'll be two, but in two colors. Whatever trait, I don't know how they're going to put it like.
Okay, but remember, when it comes to doing the analysis, the basic analysis is exactly the same. It's just how you interpret the results is now different, because like an XX or a RR now means it's a different phenotype. Okay? Okay, then there is this third concept. This is called multiple allelism. And can somebody guess what multiple alleles mean? Yes. And remember, in all the stuff that we have done till now, it has always been like it's a tall or a short, or a round or a wrinkle. Now what if it was a tall, a medium and a short, and they all happen to be distinct? Right? That is what multiple alleles is. And in nature, multiple alleles is much more common than like two alleles. What we have been studying till now is really been two alleles, because it's two characteristics, right? So here, for example, R and R, these are the two alleles, right? Now, when you have multiple alleles, what do you do? How do you represent it? Any guesses? Yeah?
Basically, the dominant ones, and it's like since there is maybe they have 3 genes.
No, it's only one gene.
I'm sorry, the 3 alleles.
3 flavors of the same gene.
So in that case, no, I actually have no idea.
So,
You can do like R1, R2, and R3.
well, what they end up doing is, yeah, that is one way of doing it, or they put it as a superscript. So they say R1, so even among multiple alleles, some of them may be dominant and some of them may be recessive. So you still have the notation of R, capital R and small r. But you now put superscripts on top of that, R1, R2 and R1, R2 or some other way. And okay, so is the concept of multiple alleles clear? And now let's go to an example of multiple alleles. And all of us have it. It is our blood. And you can see how there is something do people know about blood groups? Yeah. So if I need a blood transfusion or anybody needs a blood transfusion here, can you just randomly pick somebody and take his or her blood? No, right? And
If they're all.
it is determined by the blood group. You know that, right? So, turns out blood group is actually an example of multiple alleles. So, and by the way, this is another area where there are questions from Science Olympiad, but it's exactly the same principles that we went through. So in case of blood groups, you know about the A group and the B group, right? And the AB group and the O group, right? And the A guys can give their blood to, if your blood type is A, you can give it to another A person, or you can give it to, no, can you give it to AB? I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, you can give it to AB, yes. You can give it to A or AB, B can give to B or AB, and O can give to anybody, right? That's the rule. And
AB is
so
the
this is
takes
called
care of
like
universal
universal donor, and this is like a universal recipient, right? So what is the genetics behind this, or what is the heredity behind this? And it turns out that this is all explained by the basic principles that you learned. And this is an example of multiple alleles. So it turns out that there is this trait, call it whatever it is, this blood group trait or blood group gene, and there are 3 versions of this. There is a A version of it, there is a B version of it, and there is a I version of it. Okay? So note this. Note this notation. What do you think A is? It's dominant or recessive? Look at this notation. Dominant. Remember, look at this letter, and if it's capital, it's dominant, right? But now you have a superscript added to it. Why? Because now there are 3 different alleles, IA, IB, and then little I. Okay? And you have a A group if you have a IAIA, right? Or a IAI. And is it clear why that is the case? Because this is always going to dominate over this, right? And IBIB or IBII, this is also clear because we learned it. But now here, IAIB, both of them are dominant. So what happens? It's co-dominant, right? We just went over that term. So this forms a new phenotype. So these are now your phenotype. Your blood group is your phenotype because that's what shows up. This is one phenotype, this is another phenotype, this is another phenotype, and then only when these two come together, the little i's, then they form their own phenotype, and that's called O. So you have 4 different types of phenotypes. You have 3 alleles, not 2 alleles, 3 alleles, 4 phenotypes, and how many genotypes?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Excellent. It's a pretty interesting combination. And you will get questions from this. And turn on the lights. Let me actually see what else is there. These were basically the concepts that I wanted to go over. So this is, the blood group is an example where you see the expression of multiple alleles and codominance. And there are questions in Science Olympiad that will come from here. That's pretty much it. Any questions? I think I'm kind of out of time now.
Yeah,
Because
7:15.
7:11. We got 4 more minutes. Any questions? Is it clear? So what we could do is we could go over a problem related to blood groups. Do you feel like doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Practice question. In a certain case, a woman's blood type was tested to be AB. She married and her husband's blood type was A. Their children have blood types A, AB and B. What are the genotypes of the parent? What are the genotypic ratios of the children? I think you know all the information and somebody wants to solve this? Okay. Okay, I can. So the information is all there, right? Woman's blood type was AB, right? So in that notation, what are her 2 chromosomes? Two gene copies. It's IA and IB, right? This is the woman. Now the man
Two possible.
is
Two
B,
possibilities.
right? So 2 possibilities, you're right. So what is it?
IA or IA.
He's type A.
Type A.
Their
Husband is A.
Type A.
he's A, right? Okay.
So IA
IA
or
Or
IA and small I.
IA and I, right?
What is that?
Now if you
Small I.
have children,
I.
what would happen? Same laws, nothing has changed. Law of segregation, you pick either this copy or this copy, and then
it will. I think
what
it
would you
will-
do?
Then you basically combine them and
Yes,
solve it.
yes. So from the woman, what are the possibilities? You can either get a IA. This is from one parent. So if you drew a Punnett square, let's do the woman first. You'll get an IA or an IB. And then from the man, we don't know, it could be either this or this. So one Punnett square will look like IA and the other will be IA. This is this one. And we don't know. There will be another one which is IA or I. Right?
Sorry, I have to go now.
Yeah, and this will be the last problem, so.
Oh, okay.
She has to leave.
Yeah, I have to leave now
Yeah,
because the.
yeah, I understand.
I
That's
can
okay.
look it up on the PowerPoint.
Yeah, you can look it up in the PowerPoint and I'll have a handout.
In the video
Yeah,
too.
and the video will
Oh,
be
yeah, the
there,
video.
so, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
If you can see it. I mean.
So then what are the possibilities? It's the same Punnett square business, right? Okay, if the man, so this is, we don't know, like, he could be this or this, we don't know. It could be either, so you could have a IA, 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 IB, IA, and IB, IA, and then IA, 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 I, IA, IB, and IB, I. Okay, so, yes.
If they were going to have a children with blood type B, doesn't it have to be the one with the lowercase I? Because that's,
Sorry.
if they were gonna have a child with blood type B, doesn't it have to be the second one with the lowercase I?
No, so A and B are both co-dominant, right? So that's why, so this is for the woman, she is AB, so both of them are co-dominant, IA and IA. The man could be either IA, because we don't know, it could be blood type A, so he could be pure, or this little I, in those slides, the little I actually said
No,
it's,
no A or
it's for the O, right?
Doesn't it have to be that one because with the IA and IA, then there is no.
She's ahead.
Yeah,
She's
yes.
basically
She's
ahead.
ahead.
She's telling
She's
us
going to the
that
next step.
because if you have a B, that means you have to have a small I.
Yes.
If you
Oh,
have a
yeah,
B,
of course, yeah,
Right,
okay,
yeah.
okay, yes, okay, now I get it. Okay, so the question was what? What are the genotype, what are the, their children have blood types A, AB and B, and we know why, right? This is blood type A, this is A, this is A, this is A, this is B, this is B, this is AB, and this is B, right? And so this is true. And then what are the genotypes of the parents? What are the genotypic ratio of the children? So the genotype of the parents are, this one we know because they told, and AB and B.
I, A,
It has
and
to be
small I.
has to be the second.
Yeah, it has to be this, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So now you know that it has to be this. It can't be this. So the question was the man this or this? And that is the answer. So the man had to be this. This is an example of, like, you don't need to know anything but just the definitions and then just work it out. And the key to doing it, succeeding in Science Olympiad is going to be to practice and do this quickly, right? Because you have 50 minutes and I think you have to answer 25 questions or something like that. So I think, but it's fairly straightforward. You just follow these basic principles and do the problems, right?
didn't finish that yet. What are the genotype ratios of the children?
And what are the genotype ratios of the children? Yeah, you guys can do it. What are the different genotypes that are possible here?
Is it just 1 to 1 to 1 to 1?
Exactly, it is 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 because this genotype is different from this genotype is different from this genotype is different from this genotype.
She is fast.
Exactly.
All of them?
Sorry?
All of them, like each kid has one of them.
Exactly, yeah, see, they are all different. The genotype are all different. Are the phenotypes all different?
No. No.
There are
Three types.
three types. So the A will
Okay.
repeat. A repeats.
If you guys want, if you guys and girls want, we can go to the next problem and do it.
Yes.
Yes.
You want to do it?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, this is not about blood, this is about cows.
Cows.
Okay, this is going to be the last problem. So you can relax.
They're already relaxed.
Okay. In a certain breed of cow, the gene for red fur R is co-dominant with that for white fur W. What would be the phenotypic and genotypic ratios of the offspring if you breed a red cow and a white bull? What would they be if you breed a red and white cow with a red and white bull?
Hybrid cross.
Remember, co-dominant. Red and white means what? It's codominant.
Wait, so that means
Red and white.
It will have
It's
stripes.
both red and white.
Wait, so
The
this
last one is
multiple-
hybrid class.
Okay.
uh,
This seems to be the more interesting problem. So let's not even do the first one. Just in interest of time, let's do the second one.
Okay.
Yeah. What?
Is this by any chance referring to incomplete dominance?
No, this,
Codominant.
they say it is codominant, right? So codominant means both of them are showing up. So maybe there's a red patch and a white patch in the cow. Or maybe it's a red cow with some white patches.
Okay, this is gonna be tough.
Why is it tough? So you have a red and white cow with a red and white bull, right? So,
It's hard to digest.
so in this case, remember, yes, sure.
So, for the phenotypic ratio,
Mm-hmm,
1/4 of the time
mm-hmm,
it would be red,
mm-hmm,
1/4 of the time it would be white,
mm-hmm.
and 2/4 of the time it would be like
You are ahead of me, so I have to work it out.
It's half.
Okay, so let's take this question. Okay, so both of them are codominant, right? So
Yes.
let's say C is the color, so there is CR and CW, right? Codominant, this is how you will write it, right? Or you can write it as R and W, but we'll follow the notation that they have said. So CR with CR, CW. So do the Punnett square. CR, CW, CR, CW, CRR, CR, CW, CR, CW, and then CW. So what would be the genotypic ratios? So what are the genotypes here? This is one genotype, this is one genotype,
So 3 genotypes.
and this is another
It's 3
genotype.
genotypes.
So
3
it's what?
3.
So what is the ratio?
1 to 2 to 1.
1 to 2 to 1. And it so happens that these are all 3 different phenotypes. So the phenotypic ratio in this case would also be 1 to
1 to 1.
2 to
1
1.
to 1.
Is this clear? And now if you do even the Science Olympiad sample problems in these sections, you should be able to get it. Just pay attention to these terms and then it's fairly straightforward. Okay? Thank you so much for coming.